Welcome everybody, this is Legionnaire. Welcome to my Fallout 3 discussion video. Been a while since I played it, but I wanted to make sure I got this recording in. We recently played through Fallout on the stream, check out the link below. And I wanted to talk about it because this is a classic. Fallout 3 is something I played on the 360 when it came out, and it's definitely a source of my teenage childhood. So, without further ado, let's get into Fallout 3. So, Fallout 3. Welcome to the post-apocalyptic land, the Wasteland. Post-1950s, I believe? But this is like, what, 200 years in the future? So, as I said at the beginning, we recently played through this for the first time in over 10 years. And, wow, what a playthrough. This was awesome. We put a good, 80 hours in. And I gotta say, Fallout 3 still holds up. I remember in the beginning, I was surprised. I was like, wow, I could play this. This is great still. So, for anybody who doesn't know the story, here's a quick recap getting into it. You get a nice, cool intro from Ron Perlman, the man, the myth, the legend Hellboy himself. War never changes. Classic Fallout line. He's also been in, I believe, the first or the second, or maybe both of the original Fallout games. So this man games, or he likes voicing for games. He's in many games, not just Fallout. You cut to a blinding light, and you're waking up, and you have this man talking to you. Basically, you're being born, and who's talking to you? Liam Neeson, of course. So that's right off the bat pretty cool. You could tell immediately if you're like a movie watcher, you'd be like, this is Liam Neeson, oh my god. You're being born pretty much. You hear some indistinct chatter in the background, and you see a few people, but mostly it's just your dad and a character named Jonas. Then cut to you being a toddler. You're walking around, dad's got to go do something real quick, leaves you in the room without supervision. Maybe he locks the door. Still, toddler. I think we're in the cage, like the baby cage thing that's around, and we just break out. You pick up this book. It's a special book. This is part of the talent stuff for Fallout. You set up your specials, and you pick what will mostly get your stats. After that, you cut to a party going on in a little diner setting, which is, of course, classic 50s. You walk around, you get a sense of the dialogue, thank people for coming to your birthday, or you become a jerk and tell them that they should have brought you gifts. I know many people probably sided with the jerk. Then cut again to you being a young teenager. Maybe not young, you're like 17 maybe, or 16 or 17. You walk around, check out the place, talk to some people. You run into the snake gang who's messing with our friend, Amata. They're bugging her, they're basically harassing her right there outside of the school room. And we walk up, we tell them to take a hike. And so does she. The guys try to fight us. We take on the snake gang. I punch the crap out of the snake gang leader, and then they piss off. We take a super boring test of random questions that make no sense. And the game will title you with what your profession is. basically setting up all of your stats for your character. And I do appreciate that they let you not stick with that. You can change your profession to whatever you want. Shout out to the professor in the room letting us do that. Then, after this, you wake up again and all hell's breaking loose within the vault. Apparently, our dad bounced, left us, went to go get a pack of cigarettes and a thing of milk at the gas station and never returned. Amada tells us we need to get the hell out of here because the overseer who controls and runs the vault is looking for us and trying to find our dad. We walk around. You can start picking up stuff, checking out, getting weapons, looking at books, things like that. And you can basically walk around the levels in this vault and, you know, maybe go into rooms, maybe find stim packs and things like that. You make your way around. You find Amada, or I did. I found the Snake Gang guy that I told to piss off before. He needs our help. His mom is being attacked by cockroaches. The man's a coward. Get in there. Help your mother, you pitiful person. But, of course, I had to be the savior. Went in there, shot up all the cockroaches, the big monster cockroaches, and saved the day, of course, because we are the hero. Once you finally find the overseer, you can talk to him, try to reason with him, but he will have none of it. He won't budge. He said, we try to reason with him about our dad, but he won't budge at all. If you run into some of the security officers, they may fight you, but there's like one that's pretty cool and tells you just run, leave, go, find a way out. Amada asks us not to hurt her dad because she still reasons with him. She thinks he's not a bad person. It's easily to see when you speak to him that he is an a-hole. But I, being the good person that I am, did not kill him. Not on this run, at least. So we make our way to the entrance of the vault. We pop it open. We say goodbye to Amada. And here the game begins. You're out. Your dad is gone. The vault is freaking out and you're leaving them behind. And you open the doors to find the wide world before you. It's beautiful. You can go anywhere you want. You can go around. You can go forward, left, right, diagonal. You can explore to your heart's content, and so the Bethesda formula begins. The quest, the mission, is to find our dad. See where he's been. Where's he going? Why'd you leave me, Daddy? So that's Fallout 3's main setup and hook. You're out in the wasteland. You are looking for your dad to find out what happened. And here, you know, this is really where the game opens up, like I said, and you can pretty much go anywhere. And for those of us who played the game originally, I remember definitely going straight and finding Megaton. You walk around, and one of the first places you see is destroyed areas, destroyed vending machines. You can walk around. Some people don't even end up finding Megaton for a long time if they just walk the other way, which is crazy. That's the initial spot where you get your quests, your missions that you can do, some side quests there. It's basically the game's early hub, you know? And you meet some cool characters there. The sheriff's pretty cool. He's got a son that runs around. You meet the denizens. You got the medical shop. You have the lady in the tool shop. Apologies, I forgot her name. She sets us up with 3 major quests with a bunch of little side quests in it, where you go to different areas surrounding Megaton, and that's pretty neat. I love that setup. That's the perfect starting quest lines to follow. Also, there's like this bomb in Megaton that could blow at any moment. Apparently it was never disengaged. I really like this early area. This is the perfect starting area for a lot of people because it gets you to get some missions and go out and explore the area. Immediately you get a sense of how destroyed this land is. Most of the people are very guarded. You know, they try to be careful because in the wasteland, anything goes. So many people finish this questline without ever setting foot in Megaton. And I really like that. It's not limiting to you. It's an open note. Ask about my dad. And in the process, you find a bunch of side quests and stories and stuff. So myself in my playthrough, I definitely went to Megaton. Like, I did that in the original as well, but I always end up going to Megaton. And it's at this point where you really start exploring. You really go out places. I always get that quest line from the lady in the tool shop, and I start going around and I start talking, asking about my dad, see where I can go, and I start doing some of the quest lines. When you're in the open world, you can run into other people. There's raiders out in the lands who are just out there trying to find stuff to sell, you know, things for food. Everybody's trying to survive in this wasteland. You can run into ghouls. There's bad ghouls and there's good ghouls. Ghouls are like radiated people who look like their skin has been all torn up and basically ruined, you know. And most of them are monsters, mindless monsters. But there's also good ghouls. You come across them in the game. They're decent people. In Megaton alone, there's one bartender who's pretty cool, and he directs us to where we can talk to our dad, or talk to somebody who knows about our dad. You can also run into little monsters. There's these mole thingies that always show up. There's the dogs. And then there's the heavy hitters that we'll talk more about later. There's these wolf-looking thing. I know it's not a wolf. Don't hate me in the comments. I can't remember what the name of it is. The wolf-looking monster. They look like werewolves. Then there's the Deathclaws. Deathclaws are the ultimate monsters in these games. There's also mutants. Most mutants are cognizant. They understand things. They have reasoning, but they go around the wasteland and pillage things. They're basically raiders, but huge, giant, brown-looking mutants. That's just what they're called. Basically, I'm not sure the entire story on the mutants. I think they were people who were experimented on, and I believe they were a product of a second bombing. Aside from the original bombing that created the Fallout landscape, most of them are out there to kill you. But in my playthrough, I came across one who was friendly. So those are the monsters of the Fallout game. They had a good variety and they used them well. The raiders always look kind of different. You know, they have the same armor, but they have variations of it. Running around the open world, you end up coming across a lot of them, and the further you get, the bigger the enemy variety becomes. You end up seeing the wolves I was talking about and the Deathclaws a lot more when you get to the outer areas of the map. While you're walking out into the wasteland, many things can happen. You can come across these little houses. You can come across people that are traveling and find a whole new side quest. You can do whatever your heart desires. The difficulty, I played this on normal, so I've never done one of these on super hard or survivor difficulty. I know, fake fan. And the difficulty is not bad. You have to survive, right? They give you a nice amount of stim packs to find in the open world. The looting and everything in this world is good. It's on point. You know, it could have been worse for 2008, but it was just simple. You're able to pick up a lot of things in this world. You can pick up a lot of junk. You can do that in every Fallout game, and in this one, they have a few reasons to pick up the garbage junk that you find. You know, glue, parts. They have a minor crafting system where you can craft a handful of weapons. They're mostly big ones, you know. This isn't like Fallout 4 where you can set up base camps and settlements with all the junk that you find. No, this was 2008, so they hadn't come up with that yet. But I appreciate them having a reason for you to find this stuff. Other than monetary, there's a lot of items you can find that you can sell. 20 or 30 caps. The money in this game is caps, bottle caps, pretty much. Everybody's got caps. But, you know, with the looting system, you do find a lot more weapons and things in the world. Ammo cases, ammunition boxes. There's always stuff to look. In this playthrough, I really leveled up my locksmithing, you know, so that I can do high-level locks. And I did a lot of science, so I could do the computers, do the high-level computers. And by the end of the game, I hit 100 on both, of course. The saving system still good for these days. You every time you go out of a area, it loads and it does an auto save, and I appreciate that, especially in a year like 2008, 2009. This wasn't standard practice. You also can do the quick saves on PC, which is where I played, and manual saves, of course. On PC, playing this in 2023, I didn't have too many issues, honestly. I was worried I was going to have a lot of crashing issues, but my only one issue that I had that was consistent was when I alt-tabbed out of the game during the stream to fix something on my stream or change something. If you did it once or twice and then you do it a third time, the game won't pop up. So I learned every time I had to alt-tab, manual save. Just do a manual save or a quick save. I believe quick save worked, but I did manual save just in case every time. And it wasn't too bad of an issue because I know I could do it at least once or twice without having to worry about not being able to bring up the game. Aside from that, I had rarely any crashes. I had maybe one every few streams. So gotta say the updates they've done to the game to make it work on modern systems do mostly work. They got rid of the games for Windows system for anybody who played it on PC back when it came out. They had games for Windows, which was Xbox's system or Microsoft's gaming thing on PC, kind of like their Steam, and it was supposed to connect with the Xbox 360 and Xbox Live on there, so you could sign into that account and play your game on PC, and then when you go to Xbox you could play it. And it was a terrible system. It slowed down a lot of games. They added a forced overlay and everything, and it just made a lot of PC games not work well, and it made a lot of PC developers not want to work with Microsoft, so they had to get rid of it. It was trash. And it came out during the Vista era of Windows. I mean, come on. Most Microsoft software during that time was garbage. So if anybody's looking to play this on PC, or they got it for free on something like Epic Games or something, I say it's worth it. You know, that might be my particular computer build maybe, but you know, this is an old game. This will run on pretty much most computers. As long as you have at least a gig of RAM, you should be fine. I definitely kitted out my character. I changed my outfits quite often because I like, you know, variation. I like variety. There's special moments. When I was walking around the wasteland, I would put on some casual outfits. I would blast the music. And I definitely had the Fallout 3 playlist going on Spotify. They have a radio station run by Three Dog, and you hear him on the radio, and I love that. But it also had a stutter when I was playing it. Like, it would have this stuttering sound every few seconds. So it was weird. So I kind of couldn't use that radio station. I really wanted to. But we had the playlist on standby in Spotify. So we had that going every time I was walking around, and I really get sucked into the game. Really get into it, you know, when I'm walking around, because that's classic Fallout. You know, you're walking around, you hear the radio station, you're just looking for loot, looking for things to kill, trying to complete quests, you know. But if you like exploring and adventuring, then you really are going to enjoy this game. It really gets you to, like, you know, 1950s music, a lot of Sinatra, a lot of old classics that were just so good to listen to while walking around. And every time I hear them in the real world, you go to a diner, sometimes you hear the old music. They do that for nostalgia, and I'm just thinking Fallout immediately, and it makes me want to play every time. Fun fact, one of my friends in high school was such a big fan of Fallout that he sang one of Frank Sinatra's songs on the talent show stage. That was awesome. I also recorded it on my little sidekick phone that I had at the time, and it's on Facebook forever. On your travels in the open world, you can run into people who will join you. There's very few in this game. This was definitely an early version of the companion system you would see in Skyrim, in New Vegas, in Fallout 4. I have no idea if you have companions in Fallout 76. I assume you might maybe do. I don't know. Maybe pets. I only had 2 or 3 people offer to join me in this world. There was one guy that you can get right away in Megaton, but he is basically on the bad side. If you don't have enough karma, bad karma, then he won't join you. The one I had for the last half of my playthrough was definitely Fox. He was really good. He was we saved him. He was in a room. He was stuck in there. He asked us to save him, and he would help us get an item that we needed for the quest line, the Geck, the Geck. It was basically a water purifying thing that plays into the end of the story. There are a few other people that you can bring in. There was somebody from the Brotherhood that could join us. We added a character to our companions. You can have more than one. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I had Fox still, and she also joined me. And we went out into the open world, and she died like twice. I was like, what are you doing? What? How are you dead already? I was so disappointed. I said, Fox, you are the best. You will live forever. I know it. Barely anybody challenged Fox. I'm telling you, this guy, if you're running through and you find them stuck in the room, save him. Save him. He will make every firefight even cooler because of his big laser cannon that he uses. And he never runs out of ammo. Also, great thing about companions in these games, in these Bethesda games, is that you can put equipment on them so that you're not over-encumbered all the time. Yes, this game has the over-encumbered system, and a lot of people don't like it, myself included. It is a part of the immersion of the game, you know, being able to carry thousands of pounds of weapons and everything wouldn't be realistic. And they give you enough leeway being a video game, you know. You can still carry a lot, but it really limits you. So having a companion that can carry stuff is great. For anybody who's running into those issues on console, if you're playing on Xbox or PlayStation, the companion can do that. So use that. But on PC, a lot of people who are mostly PC players and they do the console commands, you can do a console command to raise your... You can do a console command for anything. You can get unlimited credits, money, all that stuff. For this playthrough, we didn't really use any of those. I think one time I used it to get some health in a sticky situation. But you can use the console command to raise your weight so that you can carry, you know, you can put 1,000 pounds, you can put 10,000 pounds, whatever you want, you know. And I think that's good. That's a nice system that Bethesda allows people to do, because most PC games don't allow you to do that. But Bethesda has always let people do that. The only exception being Fallout 76, because that's an online multiplayer style game. So we explored the wasteland. I found a lot of good quests that I enjoyed, but nothing really stood out to me so much. Thinking back on it, because we did play this recently. It was only a few weeks ago that we finished it. There weren't too many side quests that really captured me story-wise. Most of them just want you to go out and find an item, kill a person, or get some info on something going on. And I can't really fault them. You know, this is 2008. I know that real deep RPGs of the 90s have much better storylines. So I can't say that this is just a product of 2008. But for Bethesda's first foray into the Fallout world, I thought they did a decent job on the side quests. There are some standouts. Right away, one of the ones that most people remember is the side quest to whether blow up Megaton or not. And a lot of people either don't blow up Megaton or they go to Tenpenny Tower and blow it up from there. You can get a nice view of a huge atomic bomb going off. It's crazy. This playthrough, I didn't blow up Megaton because I wanted to do all the side quests. I did choose to not blow it up early, and I wish I would have saved it for later, because once we finished the game, we went around doing random things. And one of the things I wanted to do was see Megaton blow up, and you can't unfix the bomb. Once you fix the bomb, once we got our science up, we deactivated the bomb, and once you do that, you can't go back. I did, however, go to Tenpenny Tower and kill the guy who hired us to do that, who wanted us to blow up the tower. Blow up Megaton, I'm sorry. Once you get further into the wasteland, you come across different cities. There's Rivet City, huge anchor ship that people have stayed in. They have like a hotel system there. There's a big science shop. And this is where your story to find your dad really ramps up. You meet a few scientists who knew him and remember us as babies. And you can start to see where they send you to find your dad. He's basically trapped somewhere. We go to get him. He's stuck in this little fantasy world of this little town that's controlled by a scientist. Your dad is stuck in this world, and you have to do a bunch of little things for this little girl who is a grown scientist man just projecting himself as a little girl. Creepy, creepy. It's kind of sus. And once you complete everything, you can make a decision towards the end that would kill everybody or save everybody, and you can get them out. We finally get our dad out of this Matrix world, and he heads to the Jefferson Memorial Monument, I think, right next to Rivet City. And this is really where things get going. You can go on your travels. You run into the Brotherhood a lot. The Brotherhood are kind of like the self-proclaimed good guys of this world. They try to protect people in the wasteland. They have the huge power armor that we see in the intro and in the covers. They're the ones that the game is modeled after, and you run into them as you find your way to the Galaxy News radio station. That's one place that if you look around and ask for your dad, people tell you to head there. And you head there, you find them, and they're fighting this huge mammoth mutant. I remember it was pretty crazy. That was the first time I saw one. There's a few in the game. There's like 3 I ran into, but that was pretty cool, fighting with the Brotherhood. You fight alongside them. They all have their crazy laser weapons. Some of them use the melee hammers. And you talk to Three Dog. He sends you on a few side quests, and he can tell you where your dad is, or he tells you where he went. And that's what leads you to Rivet City. And you start, talking to the scientists there. Spoilers for the end of the dad mission, the main story. Once you help your dad a little bit in the Jefferson Memorial, he gets locked in, and the Enclave arrive. The Enclave are the bad guys. They are the evil villains of the story. They're like the opposite of the Brotherhood. They're the opposite side. They have the heavy power armor that's distinct to themselves, but they're controlled by this AI that wants to cleanse the wasteland. After they're introduced, they try to take over the Jefferson Memorial, and your dad sacrifices himself in the purity chamber. And this is when we swear vengeance against the Enclave. After this moment, I went on a rampage. The Enclave killed my father. You will pay. So every Enclave member we came across, I destroyed them. I went so far as to, once I got into the Enclave base, once you get closer to the end of the game, you start swarming the Enclave with the Brotherhood if you decide. They're part of the main story, so I think you kind of have to. You go to the Brotherhood base, you speak to the scribes and the leader, and they send you out to do different things. This is where we got the mission to get the Gek item for the purifier. And you get to swarm the Enclave base, and I ended up going all the way deep and talking to this AI that everybody thought was a real person, but it wasn't. And we convinced him with our charisma and all that to shut down the Enclave and destroy the main base. So that was pretty cool, having the choice to do that. This game gives you the choice of being a good or a bad person. This is, during the time where that was very prominent in most RPGs, especially in like BioWare ones, right? So, of course, being the good character in this playthrough, I decided to I decided to blow up the base and destroy the Enclave. And it was definitely a good moment, let me tell you. Me and Fox had a blast killing everyone. So far my discussion has kind of been all over the place, and this is not scripted. So I'm kind of just going off my thoughts and what I want to talk about. And I'll say that this game still holds up. It does. You can have a lot of fun in the Wasteland. The VATS system still works well. The shooting, not so great, but it never has been, right? Fallout 4 upgraded it, but it still was never the best. There's no aim down sights really, because that wasn't really prominent yet in 2008 or 9, whenever this came out. But I think with the open world and all the quests that you can do and all the people you talk to, it definitely worked. It worked for me this time, and I enjoyed it just as much as I did when I played it originally. Game's not perfect. has a lot of issues going on, some glitches that they've had forever, but nothing game breaking in my playthrough. You know, I didn't run into too many issues. The characters, while you have to give it a little leeway being 2008, 2009, they're very stiff. You know, when you look at them, it kind of looks weird, right? When they're talking to you in the dialogue. That's always been a thing with Bethesda games. I mean, even now people are talking about Starfield and how the characters just stare blindly at you. The weapons, you get a large variety of weapons. There's a classic AK, there's melee weapons, there's laser weapons, alien weapons, there's pistols, there's a revolver. There's so much for you to use. We carried a lot of weapons on our playthrough, and I liked that there was a large variety. There was one weapon that became the de facto weapon for me, though, and that was the plasma rifle. Plasma rifle shoots this green bolt of energy, and it just destroys everything. We used it for most of our playthrough once we got it. You get it once you go into the Enclave base. Once you start interacting with the Enclave, they're the ones that use this. The Brotherhood used the laser rifle, and the laser rifle's great. Once you get the laser rifle, it's a huge upgrade. But once you get the plasma rifle, oh my god. It is the showstopper. It will kill everyone. It's not super OP because you get it and it becomes the best weapon for most of your playthrough. But as you get to the end of the game and as you move beyond the Enclave, you get further out, there are things that are of a higher level and you will need to switch up your weapons still. I liked using the sniper sometimes. You can shoot from far. There's like one sniper in the whole game, so I'm glad we got that. There's a lot of meds in this game. There's Jet, there's Buff Out, there's the stim packs that heal you. There's a lot of stuff for radiation. Radiation plays a huge thing in this game. You can run into a lot of radiated areas. There's even some rooms in the later parts of the game where you could die like immediately going into the room because of how intense the radiation level is. And this is another reason that Fox works so well as well. He's a mutant, and mutants are like immune to it, kind of. They feel it, but not as much. It's kind of like when we get hit with 3 or 4 rads at once. Rads means radiation. And that happens like per second. So the radiation really hurts you in this game, but you really don't run into a lot of areas that it will impact you in. There's some story beats where you got rooms that are full of radiation, and this is where Fox comes in handy, especially at the very end of the main story. If you have Fox with you, spoilers. You can use Fox. You're in this water purifying place. This is where your dad died. This is the project he was working on. And you have to choose between sending in the Brotherhood woman who's with you, sending in yourself, or sending in Fox. And if you choose to send in Fox, you won't die. You basically, he sucks in the radiation and he turns on the purifying machine inside of the room. Though you still end up waking up, passing out, waking up. And originally, for most people who don't know, originally you could not continue the game. The game would end here. But once the DLCs came out, which we're about to get into, you wake up and you start a whole new Brotherhood quest line. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I remember not waking up. I remember not knowing that the game didn't let you continue after you went through with the situation. You could just load up a save, of course, obviously. But I remember that surprised me when I was a teenager, Most open worlds let you continue the game, but that wasn't really, I guess, the norm back in 2008, 2009. And even today, there's only a handful of games that do that, but most games just let you continue walking around. So, what are my full, complete thoughts on the base Fallout 3 game? I think still worth it. Very fun to walk around this world. You can walk around the wasteland and you're in basically Washington, D.C. area. You can walk around Washington. You can go into the White House. You can go into the Washington Monument. You can go through the museums, the underground. There's so much to this game. I had a blast exploring, and going around and doing a lot of the side quests. I did a lot of side quests because I wanted to enjoy this playthrough, right? I didn't want to rush it. I didn't rush it. I played some other games on the side, but I really took my time going through the game because, you know, as a teenager, you're rushing everything. So I finished the main game when I was a teenager. I did like a handful of side quests, but to be honest, I wanted to, continue the main story. That's what most people end up doing. And I say the main story is a sufficient hook. I love that it doesn't stranglehold you into a main line. It's the main quest line, but you don't have to follow specific story beats to find your dad. It's once you find your dad that you have to sort of follow specific quest lines to get to the very end. Like going to find the Gek, helping the Brotherhood out, getting everything they need for Liberty Prime, and the final march on the Enclave. That was the end of the game. But I really appreciated that the game just let you, go around and not tie you specifically to, I have to go to Megaton, then I got to go to Three Dog, then I got to go to Rivet City, then I go to the Jefferson Memorial. Eventually you could go to those places, but it's not required. At least Megaton isn't. Rivet City does have some scientists that you need to work with, And if you don't have any of the DLC, I'd say the game is still worth a playthrough for sure. There's so much to do in the base game. I didn't even do it all. At one point I got, I was able to I got a perk system that allowed me to have all the locations unlocked on my map. I couldn't travel to them, but I knew all these little spots around the map. And there was so much I didn't do before I stopped playing. Even after the DLC, I didn't finish everything. I'd say I explored like 60% of the world, maybe 65. The shooting system, while archaic and old, it does the job, really. The melee system does the job. The VATS is pretty cool. It's kind of a slow motion system, and it's in every Fallout. Even Fallout 76 has it, even though you're not in slow motion. The weapons, nice variety. The costumes, there's a whole bunch of different costumes. You can wear anything from rags to Brotherhood Prime armor, Enclave Prime armor. Like, it's crazy. You level up at a sufficient pace. Once you're doing side quests, you're able to level up at the max level cap is 30, but in the base game it's 20. Once you get the DLCs, then it becomes 30. And every time you level up, you get to choose a perk. You get like 5 points to put in, or I'm sorry, like 18 points to put in like one of your stats, or spread out the points, what have you. Basically, you can get to 100 with each one of your stats. And then the perks, I love the perks in this game. They all have a different thing to them. So the perks in this game, you can choose one that will make it so that every time you hack a computer, you have like a 15% bonus to science. You can make one, there's one that will boost your melee so that every time you do a melee, you get critical hit. There's one that will make it so you're a vampire. There's one that makes it so kids will help you and they'll give you money or something. There's just a huge variety of them, and I had fun choosing one every time I leveled up. I look forward to it. I'll put the points in, I'm like, all right, which one do I want? And once you get into the middle levels of the game, the teens, 12, 13, you start unlocking more better ones, and depending on what you choose, other ones will unlock. I played this game for at least 80 hours with the DLC, and I didn't unlock all of them myself. I don't think you can all the way up to 30. I'm not sure. But it makes for a good rewarding system. You do the side quests, you explore, you kill monsters, you get XP, and every time you did a quest, you get a significant amount of XP. We got to 30 at the very end. So that's just how long it all takes. It's sufficient enough that once you beat the main story, you could get to level 18, 19, or even 17, But if you do a lot in the open world and you don't get to the end of the story for a long time, you could hit level 20 before you even reach there. And you do become OP, even in the main game. You get, once you get to a higher level, you can destroy almost anyone. Now, that doesn't mean that you can run through every room, if there's a lot of enemies in there, they can still kill you, but you can soak up a lot of damage. Also, Fox helped a lot, so seriously guys, get that companion. So main Fallout 3, I would say, is a nice, good 8 out of 10 in my book. That's my personal ranking. You know, I'm not a big reviewer. I don't go into super detail. We're not going to be here for 4 hours explaining everything in the game, but I went over a lot of general topics for it. So let's get into the DLC.
After all this, to be left in a state like that?
So ended the story of the Lone Wanderer.
The Brotherhood has a clear plan of action. The remnants of the Enclave must be swept away. The Pride has been working to this end ever since we took the Purifier back.
Democracy is truth. Communism is death.
But the tale of humanity will never come to a close.
Scanning defenses. Exploiting.
For the struggle of survival is a war without end.
Warning. Orbital strike imminent. Reach minimum safe distance immediately.
And war never changes.
The first one of these DLCs we did was the Broken Steel DLC, because that's the one that starts immediately after you wake up, finishing the main campaign. And I really enjoyed this one. You work with the scribes to take Liberty Prime to one of the Enclave bases, and Liberty Prime is destroyed. It's a sad moment. I really liked Liberty Prime. He was cool. He had a sad moment in his death, and he said something about life and liberty and freedom, and I shed a little tear for Liberty Prime. You know, he was very cool. Giant, basically making him like the Iron Giant almost, you know, so it was a cool, you know, parallel to the Iron Giant. And this is where I was talking about before. It leads to you uncovering different things about the Enclave and working with the Brotherhood to destroy them, culminating in the airbase fight where you have to walk through this airfield and it's got hundreds of Enclave walking around. You know, there's huge battles going on between the Brotherhood and the Enclave, and you got to find a way. I died a few times trying to get through this area, so I ended up using the stealth Pip-Boy thing where I was invisible and I walked through, killing only a few till I got inside the base. Then you have to go through and shut down some generators or some things that leads you to the top of the base and activating the device so that you can get picked up by the Brotherhood, and it leads into all-out warfare. I'm shooting these huge Enclave helicopters that are passing by with my rocket, and it was awesome. I thought it was great because I still hated the Enclave because they killed my father. So it was awesome to go through this DLC. It wasn't anything groundbreaking or anything, and it was just basically taking down the Enclave, which we were already doing in the main story. But the final mission on that airbase really got me to remember it. Like, I will remember going through that airbase when I think about Fallout 3. And then it culminates in a huge orbital blast down onto this airbase. It was so good.
This is a high priority message. Backup is needed at our location. Any personnel listening on this frequency, please report at once.
I'll keep it simple. There's some high-value tech in this base, but we can't get to it. We're pretty sure anyone who completes the facility's VR simulation program will gain access. I won't lie to you. We're talking frontline heavy combat. Safety protocols disengaged. Sim death. Real death.
So once I finished that one, I moved on to Operation Anchorage. This one really got creative. So the premise of this is they need to open this vault door. The only way to do that is to go through this virtual simulation. And this virtual simulation puts you in this Alaskan world area. And you have to go through a few missions with these soldiers. You can hire a few soldiers to join you, or you can go solo. And it felt like getting a Call of Duty DLC or something. Like, it was like, here's what Fallout would look like if somebody modded it to be like a level in Call of Duty. I really liked the variety though. It was very different from what normally happens in Fallout. So I thought it was a nice change of pace. You know, I was making sure I had enough weapons. They'd strip you of all your weapons. Of course, you can't go into the virtual world with your loadout. So you have to choose between like these different loadouts of a sniper and a pistol, an assault rifle and a shotgun or something. And I definitely chose the assault rifle most of the time, but there was 1 or 2 missions where I chose the sniper because it was just more advantageous to use that to snipe people out of the towers. It felt really cool. So I enjoyed this DLC, and it led to a lot of like incursions on bases. It kind of feels like a James Bond mission from one of the 90s movies where you go through the snow and you have to invade one of the bases or something. So while I can't say I remember the story too much, like what happens after, I did appreciate going through this really cool snowy landscape. The landscape was definitely the best part for me because you don't see snow in the main game at all, I think. Not that I remember.
You are not welcome in this place.
Then I went through the Point Lookout DLC. We walked around, we went to the boat, we took the boat, we went through this land, and I think this DLC was pretty cool. It wasn't mind-blowing or anything, but I liked you basically do this big mission to help this guy in a mansion, and it's this basically old school ghoul. He's a ghoul that was once a guy, like a business guy, and you know, he's kind of an asshole, you know, but he's not the asshole that will kill you unless he needs to survive. So we helped him out, and he sends you to infiltrate his enemy's base. Basically, there's this brain thing that's sending a cult to kill this guy, and they're like this big cult that worships the brain. I don't even know if they know that it's a brain that's just in like a jar. So I thought that was pretty funny, but I kind of liked the whole area. You know, it was a little murky, and there wasn't much to explore in it. It was a giant area, but there wasn't too much in the area that really captured my eye, you know. Once you invade the base, it's pretty quick where you can talk to a few people, do like a mission or two. You had to go find this like fruit or flower to be initiated into the cult, to infiltrate them. And you go through this trippy episode. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then you wake up at the base, and then they welcome you. Once you talk to a few people, you find the leader, you're able to go down and talk to the brain. And it becomes a battle of your morals. Which one is in the right? You know, apparently they were both businessmen working together. One of them screwed over the other. I think, I could be wrong on that. You know, I'm going off of memory here. And I know I played it recently, but, you know, you play so much games, you can't remember everything. And I think I decided to go with the asshole in the mansion, the ghoul, because the guy who was the brain was killing people. He was torturing them. He was getting them to work against their will. And even though the guy in the asshole is an asshole, he's just trying to survive, if we're being honest, right? So we did that one. It wasn't a terribly great DLC. It wasn't you know, the worst thing in the world, but I enjoyed the change of scenery. The Alaskan scenery was still much better in my opinion, but this murky little area was pretty cool because you don't really see murky areas like this in the main game. I don't even think you see rain in the main game. There wasn't a weather system, I believe, right? There was a night and day system.
I come from a place far to the northwest. It's called the Pit. My people, some of the only survivors, are slaves. Nearly everyone who lives there is either sick, dying, or worse. But the bastards who have my people, they found a way to cure it.
See that fella up there? You'll be seeing lots of those.
So we get the cure. With it, we turn the tables on them.
Nice work in the hole, New Blood. Knew you couldn't be one of our normal workers. Who are you? And what are you doing in my city?
The next DLC I went through was The Pit. Oh yeah. This place was kind of like slave city town area. As soon as I got there, I remember I was like, oh god, they took my weapons again. And I immediately wanted to kill everybody because they enslaved me. So I think the premise of this one was that you go through this slave encampment. They've got people mining and everybody's living in the buildings. And I remember they put you in this fighting arena. You have to fight people over and over again. You gotta, I think I did it like 3 or 4 times. And I remember after a while, I kind of wasn't interested in this. Yeah, I think this was probably the weakest one for me. Because after like doing the arena fight for 3 or 4 times, I just wanted to kill everybody. And that's what ended up happening. I was so strong that I ended up just going through and killing everybody in this place and walking out. So this one was definitely the weakest for me, like I said. But I liked the rundown town aspect, you know? Kind of felt like going through a level in like something like a Last of Us or something like that. You know, everybody's out for themselves, that kind of thing. A little bit of Mad Max vibes, a little bit in there. But yeah, it just didn't intrigue me all that much. Not as much as the other ones did, really. But it was fun killing everybody.
Final message. Whoever finds this tape, you've got to send help up here. They've been keeping us in cells, but I've managed to escape. I think I know what they want with our world, and they won't stop until they've taken hundreds or thousands of us. I've got to keep moving. Good luck to all of us. And Godspeed.
We also went through Mothership Zeta. Let's talk about that one. I really liked this one. I loved going through the mothership, the alien ship, you know, but I didn't love fighting the enemies. Because you have nothing, you're kind of trying to survive, and then once you start fighting a lot of aliens, they give you your weapons back once you find all the NPCs that you're trying to help. I liked everything in this DLC except for the aliens. The aliens were interesting to fight for about 5 minutes. There's like 2 variations of them. You fight these robots sometimes. But they have one that just takes like an ungodly amount of damage. So we went through like a lot of the ammo and everything. And I guess that was probably on purpose, you know, to give people who are at endgame a challenge, right? So I get that it was there for challenge purposes, but I got really annoyed. And not for long though. Once we got through a few of those tough areas, we were able to get a consistent rhythm going. And you had to go shut down these 3 generators and destroy them, leading to this one big room. And I'd say the aliens, you know, they looked all right. But my favorite part of this DLC was definitely going through the entire ship and seeing the ending explosion with a crew around you. You're in space and I think you blow up another ship. And eventually it all leads to this culmination of you being in the captain's area and controlling these lasers to blow up another ship. This was a good DLC because it's just so funny to see like aliens in the Fallout world, you know, and it kind of throws back to like Roswell, New Mexico and all that, and all the stuff that happened in the 60s and 70s. So it's kind of an homage to that. And that's the Fallout DLC for me. That was pretty fun. I thought that was cool just to end it off like that. You know, I've never done that before in Fallout. So that's how we ended the playthrough. It was about 85 hours, the whole game. And that's it. That was our playthrough of Fallout 3. Highly recommend the game if you love open world, side quests, exploring, like finding cool weapons, and maybe you want to see like just a destroyed Washington landscape, you know. Highly recommend playing this game. My personal ranking would probably be a 8 out of 10, you know, if I'm thinking 2008, 2009 times, because there was nothing like this in 2008. There was the 2D version, you know, the old school version that you walked around a bit, but this was basically Oblivion in our modern world, or in 1950s, you know. Like, I love the whole 1950s aesthetic. It's because of this that I like shows like Mad Men, you know, because it's a normal 1950s, 1960s world. But the Fallout 3 world is, you know, that, but destroyed, really. So, definitely a cool 8 out of 10 for me on this game. It's not perfect. The shooting is kind of jank. The melee is kind of jank. Over encumbrance sucks. If you're on console, you can't change it unless you, like, just power through. Very few companions, but this was still early system. You know, it wasn't Skyrim or Fallout 4 where they perfected it a bit more. And I am happy I finally really played through this. This was a true playthrough, you know, from when I was a kid playing it to now, playing it in 2023. If you're looking for a crazy open world that's like bleak, you know, and has a lot of stuff for you to do, there's tons of them out there, you know. And I know a lot of people these days, you know, the youngsters, they don't like going back to these old games, but this is definitely one of them that I recommend going through. So thank you all for watching this video. This is definitely a longer one, but there was a lot to talk about. You know, I didn't touch on everything, and this is basically just going off of my head, you know, trying to record this finally before I forget everything about the game. If you enjoyed the video, definitely check out my other ones. I got a Street Fighter, my thoughts on Street Fighter, and I got my thoughts on The Last Guardian up there. Check out the Twitch below. I'm streaming on there while I'm currently in school, and I do, you know, full-time job and everything. I'm trying to keep up as much as I can, but of course, school takes priority. So subscribe, you know, check out the videos below. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.